Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy KawaiiSteez, and we are here for the 1,000 subs Q&A. I'm super happy, super stoked about this. I remember like 2 years ago, I posted on Instagram like, "Dang, I only have like 20 subs," and I wanted to get my music out there more. I was posting everywhere else. I was like, you know what? Let me tap into YouTube. And 2 years later, we are at 1,000. So I'm super stoked, super happy. I thank every single one of you for supporting in numerous ways, whether you like, share the videos, comment, whatever. I love engaging with y'all. And even though I'm getting, more exposure, I really appreciate the fact that I'm still, I guess, small enough to engage with you all because, like, this is what really makes it worth it. After I create music and put it out into the world, the creation part is for me, but when I put it out to the world, it's for you all. So, super stoked about it. Um, Definitely, I have CDs. So, cop a CD. I have a tape. Cop a tape. You know, they're limited edition. I only have like 100 CDs and 50 tapes. So, I think I've already gotten sold like 30 CDs and I still have some tapes left over. So if you definitely want one, I'll put the link below. I'm selling it through my Bandcamp. Uh, it's if you buy it through Bandcamp, you also get the digital copies. And I know a lot of people are getting into their iPod, MP3, digital audio player bag. So yeah. So without further ado, let's get into the Q&A. First question I have here: who were your biggest influences in your day-to-day life? Friends, fam, extended fam, etc. So for my day-to-day life, I guess it would be my family first. I spent the most time with them. As I'm getting older and continue to age, I'm realizing the traits I pick up from both of my parents, um, aunts, uncles. I had an uncle. I have an uncle that that I was really close to growing up. That put me on to like everything, like anime and video games. So a lot of my anime and video game taste definitely comes from him, and a lot of that shows up in my music. So I think he's definitely a huge influence. Friends too, but I guess it would be mostly family. I was mostly at home a lot when I was growing up, and then friends would we would obviously influence each other with stuff, but I don't know. I spent a lot of time at home and a lot of time on the internet, so there's that. Next question: what is your earliest memory of music? Something that sparked your love for music, and what influenced you into making your own music? Okay, this is a multiple part question. Okay, so my earliest memory of music, I don't. Dang, what is my earliest memory of music? I kind of don't know. I do know that in my house, music was always playing. So in a sense that like it's hard to pinpoint the earliest memory because music in my life is almost like breathing. It's like remembering my first breath. So I don't really remember, but I do know that my parents played a lot of music all the time, growing up, like all the time. So I'm sorry that doesn't really answer your question, but that's just what it is. And then what sparked my love for music? It was honestly, I always liked it, but I wasn't like too crazy about it until it was 2006, 2007. I heard Scenario by Tribe Called Quest, and I thought that song was like the greatest song I heard in my life. That song was insane to me. And then shortly after, there was a album that came out from a artist I don't want to name, but it was a trilogy and graduation. And listening to that album made me be like, wow, I really want to like create music. I thought the fact that someone produced and rapped was like super dope. And yeah, so then I got into like a lot of rapper producers. Same with Chop Called Quest. I was like, oh, the guy rapping produced the beat. Like, so I just thought that was cool. And then RZA, same thing. So I was probably around like 11, 12. And then that's when I really started diving into music. I went through like my dad's old CDs and really got into like Nice and Smooth and Fushnikins and Far Side and a lot of like Golden Age and old school type of hip hop. And it made me want to write. I was really inspired by like Slick Rick and stories, and I would like try to write like a lot of stories. So Yeah. My favorite food is pizza. Uh, Staple. I love me some pizza. I love me some pizza. Do I like RXK Nephew or anyone formerly in Spider Gang? I don't know who Spider Gang is, but RXK Nephew, I do like RXK Nephew. RXK Nephew is fire. Uh, Thoughts on South Park? I haven't really watched much South Park outside of high school, and I think it's like cool. I think it's fine. Um, I'm like neither here nor there about it, but it. I'm glad people like it. Favorite cartoon? I don't really watch cartoons like that. If we're not counting anime, right? That's because I know that the anime community, but it's not a cartoon, right? So I know there's that thing, but like, if we're not counting anime, my favorite growing up was probably Ed, and Eddie. I liked Ed, and Eddie a lot. Um, but to answer the anime question though, I would say my favorite anime is JoJo's. Easy, JoJo's. It used to be like Gurren Lagann, but yeah, it's JoJo's. Uh, if gender is fluid, what temp does it freeze? Uh, -6 7. Favorite chip? Okay, there's this chip that I haven't been able to find it in a while, but it's like this honey barbecue chip. But the bag has like a honey bee on it, or like a killer bee on it with its stinger coming out. I like those chips a lot. Or the salt and vinegar, the was it something Vicky's? I'm not really a big chip person. I'm gonna be so honest. I don't really eat a lot of chips. I like chips and salsa, like tortilla chips and salsa. But yeah, I'd probably say the honeybee barbecue one. I haven't had in ages, or salt and vinegar. What is an artist, band, or group you dislike that everyone else likes during your high school years? This is going to be a cop out answer in the year of 2025, post 1 year after the beef, AB, 1AB, after Kendrick and Drake beef, but it's always been Drake. Like, I just never liked his music, and there was a lot of music I didn't really like care for. I'll say that. I've been indifferent about a lot of music, and people are like surprised about like some of the artists I'm indifferent about. But like I never liked Drake's music. Like I always thought it was very like subpar, and it was catchy. Like there's a few songs I liked, like the song here with Timbaland. I woulda came back for you. Like that song is cool. I liked Hotline Bling, even though it was taken from Drum. I love Cha Cha. Check out Cha Cha. Oprah's bank account is cool. And there's like another song or something. But like outside of that, like I never really liked his music, and I didn't understand the hype around it, and the fact that like I would like people would think I was super weird for not liking Drake or just a hater. And I never disliked him for any of those like homophobic or colorism, like light skin, like none of that stuff. Like that stuff is weird. It was just really just the music and some of the stuff that he was talking about that I thought was just kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like corny, like with yeah, it was just kind of corny, and like I think corny is fine, but it just was never my taste. And I think the fact that he was so big and in my face made me really dislike him until I became really indifferent, probably in college age. But that's my answer, honestly. Any other answer would just be not that truthful because I was just indifferent to most artists that a lot of people liked at the time. I was really like in an underground internet era bag. Like I think in high school, like my favorite rappers were like I liked Captain Murphy's Duality, Danny Brown, Death Grips, uh, and then some other folks too that were like super lyrical and stuff like that. But and Lil B, I love Lil B, but that's a whole different question. All right, anyway, what's the first? Where did you get your music taste from? My music taste definitely comes from my parents. My parents were hip hop heads, like heavy. My dad's favorite rapper was Slick Rick, and my mom's was Jay-Z. But outside of that, they would play hip hop all the time. They would play oldies all the time. Every time I go to a family reunion, I'd hear funk music a lot and like funk and dance music, and that's why that comes up very often in my music. Sometimes when I do play my music live, and it's like really loud, like you can really hear like the funk influences. And I've heard people be like, "Oh, like your stuff reminds you of the family reunion," or even shouts out to Moisturized Kev, a song we have. He was like, "This sounds like I'm in the family reunion," but that my family and the parties that my family would throw, whether it was a reunion, barbecue, whatever, A lot of that music stuck with me, the dance and the groove of it. But outside of that, I would definitely say the internet. Since I grew up a lot on the internet, I would, you know, watch the Needle Drop, Anthony Fantano, Pitchfork, the music blogs at the time, like Hot New Hip Hop, Dat Piff, just whatever. And I would just listen to a bunch of music. So then my taste started to really diversify sometime late in high school, because up until that point, I mostly just listened to hip hop, some oldies, and R&B, and I grew up on dance hall too. I'm on my mom's side of the family, we're Caribbean, and just being in New York and growing up in New York, there's just a lot of Caribbean folks, and I just grew up with that music. A lot of my comfort music is also dance hall or Caribbean music. So yeah. What was the first music you listened to as a kid? So, kind of like the last question, oldies, hip hop, R&B. There was that, and something else to add that goes into the last one. Video games too, because when I was like a kid, right? Like I didn't really form my own musical taste as much, or I just listened to whatever my parents listened to, and whatever was on like Hot 97. So I liked a lot of video game music a lot, especially from like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Like that was my game. Like I would just listen to the soundtrack because it was like a little soundtrack mode you can go into for that game, and I would listen to it a lot. And I had a realization when I was revisiting it that I think maybe that's where like I started really liking Distortion, because they were really into like the heavy rock stuff. Oh, and Tony Hawk's Underground too. Tony Hawk's Underground 1, and I didn't really play 2 that much. And American Wasteland had like all the rock music and the hip hop, and it was just really cool. So like I don't know. I kind of count all that as like me being as a kid, like all of that stuff. And then just some of the cool music from the PlayStation 2 era too. So a lot of that. And which music you first listened to that radicalized you or opened your magnificent mind? Thank you. If we're talking like radicalized, like in a political sense, I don't know. It's hard to pinpoint because I always listen, because hip hop inherently is or was like that. And growing up with like KRS-One, or like even my dad explaining to me like certain songs like The Message, right? And like what that actually means, or just any song, or just like any song talking about some sort of like struggle or whatever, kind of made me not like, I don't know, more like open to like understanding like this is a thing that people go through and people talk about. You know what I mean? Like as a kid, I'm talking about like as a kid, right? But then I guess as I get older, I listen to a lot of Lupe Fiasco. Lupe is one of my goats, and he talked about a lot of that stuff, even though I didn't necessarily understand it. But like I was definitely taking in the information. Ab Soul as well. But I think just growing up with like my lived experiences being a black person, and just understanding what that means in America, and it made me really open to understanding different things as like classism, sexism, homophobia, whatever. Uh, because it just knowing my experience and having empathy can kind of maybe understand a little bit better. And I think the music I listened to already presented a lot of that stuff in the best way that it could. Maybe it's not perfect, but you know what I mean? But we're talking about radicalized, like listening to like some crazy dope music. I don't know, like I think like listening to Tyler the Creator and like Death Grips and Danny Brown might have like put me, funny enough, they're right there. uh, Probably put me down like a wave of like listening to stuff that's a little bit alternative when it comes to the hip hop space. Like things are a little bit different. MF Doom, at the time, I listened to MF Doom in like 2000. I think the first time I listened to him was like 2007, 2008. So like people didn't really know the name like that. If I went to school and be like, hey, I listen to MF Doom, I saw like the Skater Kids or whatever, or like in some of like the music nerds. But like I don't know. I think some of that happened. Next question. If you had to choose one artist, excluding yourself, to listen to for the rest of your life, nobody else, who would it be? Easy. Tori Moi. Tori Moi, as a lot of y'all know, is one of my goats. But not only is he one of my goats, every single album that he has a different genre. Or if it's in like the same genre, it's like a different branch of that genre. So like not only do I like pretty much every single album he has made, there's a different mood for every single moment. You know, if I want to listen to some rap, some rock, right? I can listen to What For, or I can listen to some Mahal if I want the more psychedelic stuff. You know, if I want to listen to some pop house, I can listen to Outer Peace. If I want to listen to some, you know what I mean? Like it's just I have a lot to choose from. Just have a lot to choose from. Uh, Requirements for someone to work with you. So honestly, one, I mean, I need to at least like the song, right? Like if I can, okay, two things. I rap and I produce, right? So let's go with the rapping one. I need to at least like the song. If I like the song and I can rap on it, then I could do that. Um, as of right now, at this time, I'm just taking like offers. Um, so just like shoot me a DM on Instagram or shoot me an email, and then just whatever your budget is, just let me know. And then the other requirement is like you like don't like if you're a bigot or like insensitive to like marginalized groups, you know what I mean? Like for example, don't be if you're not black and you're saying the N word on your song, I'm not gonna do a song with you, right? Or if you're not queer and using the F slur, I'm not doing that song with you. You get what I'm saying? Like I'm not doing that. So I would say those are like basically the requirements when it comes to the rap front. For the production front, I'm definitely working with budgets too, but I'm gonna be like a lot more strict on what that is because that takes a lot of time to do production. And then same rules apply. Like if you doing any of that, like slurs or words that don't belong to your marginalized community or whatever, that for identities that that you're not a part of. I'm not. I don't want to do that. Right. Top five instrumentals. I'm assuming this is my instrumentals. This is hard. Okay, I'm just gonna say off the top of my head, Algebra, Smoking on that Algo Pack, Bedtime Nauseous, Backflip. These are all new, or newer. Can I get a? Let me see if I can think of an older one. Oh, I have a song called it's an old one. It's Summer Solstice. That's like probably the first like origin of like my future funk rap fusion. I'll just put that just for there. So yeah, I'll say that's my top five instrumentals. What inspired your artist name? So growing up, I used like the word steez a lot. I liked Gangstar, my steez, and then the friends I hung out with like in high school when I was in New York. They would use steez a lot, so I would just say steez and like say steez after everything. So fast forward, I might be like in my first year of college, I want to say, and I'm playing League of Legends with one of my homies, and we were just saying a whole bunch of things like with steez at the end, or like blank steez, or I got that mid lane steez, blah blah blah, and then my friend said KawaiiSteez, and I was like, that's hard, that's like that goes, and then he was like, yeah, that's like embodies you. Like that's kind of what he was saying. Like he was like, yeah, this is like KawaiiSteez. So then I changed my League of Legends name to that, and then I had that be my. I just started using it. I just started using the name, and I just stuck with it because I always just liked the ring. I just kind of rolls off your mouth like KawaiiSteez. You know what I mean? What's the message of your discography to the fans? I guess my message of my discography, honestly, is like I don't know, just be creative and don't be afraid to do the things that you want to do. The music I make is definitely like it's a mix of traditional but also very unconventional like at the same time, and that's just kind of what I do and what I like and what I am. Um, and I think I just want to I just want to just make what I want to make, right? As cliche as that sounds, but that's kind of just what it is. And in each of these eras of my music, right? Because like I'm not sure if y'all know. I mean, I have music that goes way back, and obviously, I think the music I made is the best now. But I'm not gonna take away the old music and the old me, right? But like a lot of it is influenced by media. Like I have a album called Xanderkin after Final Fantasy X, and then I have Kawaii Darko after Donnie Darko, and then I have Road to Dawn after Kingdom Hearts, and then I have Inferno, which was like a mix of all that stuff, and then now I have Smoking on that Algo Pack, which is about the media and internet culture. So I don't know. I think it's just seeing the world how I see it through this media lens, I guess. But mostly just be yourself and enjoy creating art, and just don't be afraid to put your art out there. Next question. What are your songs saying that they're not saying? I guess me as a person, right? Like we're all unique, so I'm giving my own unique worldview onto things, right? Like I'm a black kid who grew up in the suburbs, and I'm a nerd, but I'm also class conscious. Always learning about different identities and cultures and the world, and I'm just constantly trying to grow and unlearn things while learn things and understand my place on this world and this planet, and dealing with capitalism and stuff like that. So it's like, I don't know, like these are things that people talk about in various ways, but with my unique worldview, because it's me, I am saying it in my way. Even my a lot of my music has, like, I talk about themes with my own battle with understanding masculinity and embracing femininity and stuff like that. Like um my own humor, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's really just like a reflection of what I'm thinking about, and what I'm seeing and what I'm understanding. And I've been making music for a long time, and even when I go back to my old music, it's always like a very different view of what I was going through at the time, which I think is cool. Like Inferno was, I was really starting to get um, a little bit more in tune with like my political identity a bit. That's like my post like end of college album. Road to Dawn was about like my battle with depression. Xander Kane was just like my like exploration and like my imagination like on blast through like video games and anime. Kawaii Darko was like me kind of just talking about my mundane day to day and how I feel, but like if I was in a movie, Donnie Darko, and then Smoking on that Algo Pack is very much more so about what I'm dealing with now: capitalism, working a 9 to 5, world events, understanding classism a little bit more, understanding, um, gender and how that affects all of us, and the socio part of it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm no expert on these subjects, but these are things I like to learn and unlearn and read about, so they reflect in my art. So it's kind of like conscious, alternative, experimental rap music, but I also like to just do the rap bars too and like have fun with it as well. So I guess that's the answer. And then, what message are you trying to send the listener with production alone? Um, Produce whatever you like. Like for a long time, I used to think my music was not good. Uh, or it was just too weird. Maybe that's the better way. I thought it was good, but I thought it was too weird. No one would really like it, and that made me really self conscious about like even like really pushing it, because I had like at the time, not even in a bragging way, like I just don't sound like anyone or really like many folks. So I was like, is there even a market for this? But like, I think a lot of people get super scared about that, and then don't push their music. Whereas like I like my music sounds different because I choose to embrace that. And I think there's a lot of people like that, but they're afraid to just show it, or they kind of give up, because it is also a rough path. Like you will get a lot of rejection, right? So through my production, I'm just really trying to say like, hey, if you want to create this weird avant-garde or different stuff, or if you want to create something that's fun, like do that, right? Sometimes I lean into something that's a little more traditional. Do that, like produce whatever you want to produce. I'm also going to try to challenge what you are listening to as well, because I like being challenged as a listener too. I like listening to stuff that is different. Sometimes I like listening to stuff that's conventional. It's whatever, right? Everything is subjective, but I just want to challenge you and try to present new ideas or flip traditional ideas, whatever it is. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Wow, that's hard. My object impermanence or whatever is that even applies is having a hard time. Hopefully, in 5 years, I am doing music more. It has a more important role in my life in terms of the finances. I don't do this for the finances, but I prefer if I had income coming for this, so I could focus on it more, because I do work a 9 to 5. So balancing everything that has to do with creating, right? Whether that's writing, mixing, mastering, producing, creating content, collaborating, performing. Like it takes a lot of time with me still trying to be healthy and cook, work out, have downtime. So it's like hopefully in 5 years I can have a better balance, or I have like maybe at least like a part-time job or something. Ideally I can do this full-time, but hopefully like a part-time job or something in this, and then I would probably already have some sort of notoriety, because like I've been making music for a long time, but in terms of like the business aspect, like I'm pushing this to take this like serious and like grow a fan base outside of like what I was doing. I just posted on music on the internet and people knew I did music in college, so in terms of like really trying to grow the fan base, this is like year 3. I really picked it back up in July of 2022, so about to enter my 4th year. So 5 years from now I would be at year 8, and I would hope by then, right, that's like more than double the time like I'm doing this professionally. I would hope that like I could really like have this be a sustaining thing, so I could do that full time, and then also really be doing the shows I want to do, or collabing with the artists that I really want to collab with, JPEG Mafia, Tori, Moi, shoot, even Tyler, Danny Brown, or whoever's upcoming that I think is fire, some of my goats maybe, so I think that would be good. So I don't know, I see myself doing this more involved, like there's probably a lot more people who know about my music, and just happy with where I'm at and content. I don't want like crazy fame or crazy money like that. I just want to be able to live off of the art I'm doing, and hopefully I can make an impact. What's your biggest musical goal for 2026? I would say that is I definitely want to perform in more cities. I know I mostly perform in LA. This year I only performed in Los Angeles. I think it was the year before I performed in some other spots, but yeah, so I definitely want to do that. And I definitely want to release another project. That's like probably the main thing I'm gonna focus on, and then try to just build out the KawaiiSteez lore more. I have the YouTube here. I'm really building that, but I definitely want to get more videos and stuff. But I'd say the biggest one is definitely performing in other cities. I definitely want to see what that's like, and also meet all the people that listen to my music, because there's people who listen to my music in so many different cities that hit me up. So it's like it's like 5 people show up, right? But they like rock with my music. That's cool. I get to, interact with them. So that'd be really cool. And the last question, what inspired you to make Escape the Algo and Algo Pack? So funny enough with this project, I was kind of creating it as I was going. So like it was a 3-piece, right? So it started with I Am the Algorithm, then it went to I Escaped the Algorithm, and Smoking on That Algo Pack. So for I Am the Algorithm, I created that. I was just kind of creating songs and like kind of pushing myself to create different songs, and I was really focused on trying to understand how to push my music, right? So I Am the Algorithm came out in 2024, but I finished the project, the EP, in like 2023. I remember I was playing Final Fantasy 16 at the time. I beat it, or I created it, and I was really trying to figure out a theme. And then the theme I Am the Algorithm came to me because I was really trying to understand what these algorithms do, how to push my music, and I was really stressing about it. And then that was right after I got the hype, so I made Backflip that year, right? I like still my biggest song to this day, and like that like blew me up in like blew me up in my context. I still never had a song do that well immediately. And then after that song cycle went out, like I kind of went down, and I knew that was gonna happen, but it still kind of got to me a little bit. And I was really stressing about trying to understand like how to do it, how to make it work, how to make this work. But then that's when I kind of knew that that's when I kind of came up with the I Am the Algorithm thing, because I was like, oh, the algorithms are just a reflection of yourself, right? The algorithm knows you better than you know it, so or better than you know yourself. So for I Am the Algorithm, it was basically like, well, maybe I shouldn't even stress about this because I literally am the algorithm. Just me being authentic in myself and pushing for people who are like me in some sort of shape or form is how I do it. So it's like I am the algorithm. We all are the algorithm, right? The algorithm makes up it's like a big hive mind conscious thing. That's why the algorithm is so tuned to you. And that's why it's full of outrage culture, because we all like, it's easy to monetize people getting upset and emotions, right? Like it's really weird. And then fast forward, Escape the Algorithm is when by the time I finished Escape the Algorithm, that EP, I already had the songs also done for Algo Pack. And I was kind of coming to a realization that like I was pushing the music not too hard, but like I pushed it so hard to kind of get a rhythm going, and like where now it's like pushing it any harder, at least for me, almost felt like diminishing returns in terms of like me wanting to enjoy life, and then like even like hang out with people. Like when I really started doing this again in like 2022, like I was just doing this. Like I really wasn't like seeing many people as often. Like I was really learning how to push my music, and I spent a lot of time, like 2 whole years, like really trying to push that. And it was necessary, but I recognized at the time, I was like, I kind of understand this, and everything else that's min-maxing, it's not, what is it worth, right? I gotta live. So it was kind of just like that, like kind of taking a step back, and like I escaped the algorithm, right? Where being able to put my phone down, right? Because like I always joke that I'm chronically online, but like before pushing my music, like I didn't really have Instagram and like social media like that. Like I'd be on Reddit and like YouTube and stuff like that, but I really wouldn't touch it. But then like I felt the social media melting my brain, but I needed this stuff for creating my fan base and even like connecting with all of y'all. And then smoking on that Algo Pack brings all that together. I remember I was trying to find a name to kind of tie everything together, and I didn't really have one. But then I was hanging out with some of the homies, and shouts out to Renzo Star and Baby Ghost. They were having a conversation about like, I don't know what it was about, but they mentioned smoking on that Algo Pack, and I was like, Eureka, that's the name. That's what it is. And I was like, I need to use that because that embodies basically what I'm saying, right? So like smoking on that Algo Pack is like you're inhaling the algorithm, so it becomes part of you. It's inside of you. Like you become that. But it's also the smoking on that Algo Pack, like, you know, like you're done, like you're over, right? Like RIP algorithm. So it kind of ties both of those together in a double meaning. And I think that was absolutely perfect. And then I was able to kind of just tie that together. And then I named the first song that, because the first song I made on that album was actually the last song I made on that album. And the last song I made on this album, I think is one of the first songs. If not, I think the last two songs are like the first song. So it kind of like ties everything together perfectly. So yeah, that's the 1,000 sub Q&A. I know it was a little long-winded, but I appreciate every single one of you. Remember, CD, tape, best way to support me is to buy this merch. It's limited. I appreciate all of you. Peace.